G'day and welcome to another episode. My name is Daethstro, the Aussie Geek, and today we are looking at the X-Transbots, Bond and James, their punch counter punch, and this is the American version, which I thought I'd better say that just in case someone was expecting the Japanese version. I admit I don't have as much knowledge of the Japanese version. I'm pretty sure that there was some change for the Japanese version because I know Cyclonus got a huge change, and Galvatron didn't feel like Galvatron. Sorry, Japan, but they didn't feel like those characters. So I got the American version, even though I think I only remember them showing like two scenes with Punch and one scene with Counter Punch. So there we go. So as you can see, I do have this guy stick it up for Counter Punch mode, or Punch mode, and he does look really good. Although there is the odd couple of spots that are a little scary and a little not very comforting, and I'll point this out in a minute. Things are tight. Some of the tolerances can be a little bit iffy, and I think my no, maybe I've got the right one around. I thought my leg was in the right spot. So it does have a couple of issues. One issue is his gun, which I have it facing the right way, but I refuse to plug it in properly, and I'm actually tempted to scrape one of these right off because it's the usual, and the shoulders are a little tight, and I'll point out also why that's a bit of an issue. You have the usual tab in the palm sort of thing, but the problem with Punch's gun is the barrel rotates. So normally, whereas you would plug it in and you might twist the gun to get it out of his hand, you can't do that because the whole gun's coming with it. So part of me is tempted, and the moment I've just got it sort of sitting in his hand, I've had it sometimes sitting like this, although it sort of push against it, and the hand's the only fingers that anything that's holding in place. But yeah, that I'm sure it's because of they wanted you to be able to put it into car mode, which I don't use, and I'll have to probably check the instructions so I can show exactly where that's supposed to be. But there's no locking mechanism for this. So it's a nice gun, and I'm pretty sure that's the same gun as was it Overdrive? The X-Transbots Overdrive. Except I do like this better because the yellow. I wish the Overdrive had been silver, like the renders were. But we'll just put that off to the side for the moment. Now, he does look good. And he does both things. He does both punch and counter punch. So yeah, but I will point out there's at least one thing that MGO said, and once again, no disrespect to MGO or anybody else. They are bigger YouTubers than I am, and this is just me pointing it out. So I'm going to flip these around for the moment, which will turn him basically into counter punch mode. So you have these pieces here, which he said that he doesn't really pay much attention to, and as you can see, I've got mine out too, because you basically pull this part of the chest forward, you fold those in, but they're really tight. You can ignore them, but in counter punch mode, they're not a problem. In punch mode, they are, because when this folds back, if you can see it, it's actually folding over that, which if you go to roll the arm forward, which like I said doesn't happen for counter punch mode, if you do that on punch, the undercarriage of the wheel well actually clips onto here. So if you want to do it in punch, you have to get it past a certain point so it's not in the way. So if you really want to use Punch's arms, you either have to flare them up and get it around first to where you want it, or fold these in. But considering I don't really use much of the shoulder articulation on my display, I'm pretty right. But if you go to do it and you're like, why am I getting stuck? That's why. You need those folded in. I think that's pretty much, I think that's the only issue that I saw. Because I admit, I do watch other YouTubers' videos, especially the big ones, MGO and Bobby, specifically, because Bobby, he's more heavy-handed, somewhat like myself, so it's always nice to see where there's potential breaking points since he is known for it, whereas MGO is a little bit more relaxed and whatnot, so just sort of take in the figure, whatnot. So, but that's neither here nor there. I'm going to get some hate, I'm sure. Maybe I won't, because I'm just a nice guy doing nice little references. All right, so size comparison. Here he is with MP10. And he's a pretty good size. I'd say I want to say he's bigger than car. He's bigger than the car formers. He's bigger than MP Wheeljack and all that. He's up there with Fans Toys Jazz sort of thing. The Fans Toys vehicles, the Fans Toys cars. So yeah, he's probably more in line with, I want to say Sunstreaker, but I don't think Sunstreaker is that tall either. Probably Ironheart, probably a little bit shorter than Ironheart, Masterpiece Ironhide and Ratchet and that. So probably around that size. All right, we can get this guy in. Oh, well, I'll tell you what, we'll get this guy into counterpunch mode and then we'll do the articulation, because the articulation is pretty much all the same. Plus, then we won't have the shoulder hindrances. So for counterpunch, you're going to flip these forward. They're not going to do much else. You're going to rotate it around. You're going to come in here, and this is, I'm probably actually should have that up higher, but I'm not going to, because that can be a pain to get out. All right, so the arms, you're going to flip this one down. Now, I point out, before I get any further, yes, you do tend to go into counterpunch mode first, which is what I'll show when we get back from vehicle mode. Now, the advantage to punch is you have all this. Counterpunch, you don't. So I got my tool here, and I folded it in so that I can hopefully get underneath the back of the palm. Hopefully. Come out there. Or, if you can, try and hook on to the fingers. There we go. So, all you're going to do then is, and you get this out a lot easier. It's way, way easier, but I still do it the same way. Fold that in, make sure the fingers are all closed, close that up, bring this down, and then rotate that. Of course, you want the blue facing forward, and the yellow goes back for punch. Same on the other side, so flip that down and flip that down. Try to get those fingers, which is why I do it this way, because if you do it the other way, there's nothing really to grab onto. So I kind of wish there was a little bit more leeway with those fingers. So they go in, that goes in, fold that in. Doesn't really tab in or anything, plug in or anything. And there we have counterpunch. And he does look good, I will admit. They do both look good in their own rights. The only thing I don't really like is his face, a little bit. Now, there is some accessories, and I'll go into those. You do have, beg my pardon, you do have an alternative face, which this is a more G1-esque face, especially with these lines. I like the eyes on this one. I don't like the mouth plate. I like the mouth plate on this one. I don't like the eyes. So there is no way to swap it out, but you can hopefully lift these up. And the idea is you rotate it around and fold it in, so that way you have only one side. I've done, oh, that can come down too. I've done that. I haven't done it with this one because I had to do the review. But yeah, actually, you know what? Can I? I literally just saw the mushroom peg up here. I think it might be a bit of effort, but then again, like I said, I like the eyes, not the mouth. So it's probably not going to make much difference. So there you go. You do get the alternative faces. It just flips up. That flips up easier. You flip it around and cover that up. It's up to you. I haven't done it with this one. You would have noticed it. He does also come with an alternative punch face, which is more of a gasp. Of course, he comes with his yellow gun. And he comes with Counterpunch's Uzi, which comes folded up somewhat. Like I said, these do sort of connect into vehicle mode, which I'll show it. I'm not going to do it because I know one of them's really difficult to get to. But it's the same with punch. I can do it with this one, although it's still really tight. Trying to get that tab in there. And fold that up, and he can hold his gun, although he's not very holding it. The tab's undone. But like I said, with this, if this was tabbed in, you could turn it out and sort of get it past that thumb. With the other one, you can't do that. All right, so articulation, now that we have a little bit of clearance, head can do a full 360, so you can actually have Punch's head facing if you want. Looks up a tiny bit, looks down a tiny bit, and no side to side. Arms can do a full 360. The arms make me nervous. Comes up this far. And it's a little loose there. If it's loose like that, I can't remember which side it is. I'll have to look at it when I get into a transformation. There is a screw to tighten that, but it's up to you if you want to use it. We do have bicep rotation. You have double jointed elbow, but you start using the cover for the other one. So you're going to start breaking the sculpt. So, like I said, you can go the other way, but it's the way this elbow is set up. So just be aware of that. You can do it, but it's up to you if you want to break the sculpt or not. Hands do rotate. They can flip up due to the transformation if you want to use that. Index finger is on its own pin. The other three are molded together. Thumb does not move. We have waist swivel. We have an ab crunch both ways. Like I said, this probably should be up a little higher, but that's it. Okay. The knees. The hips, I should say. This to get you out, but mine's really tight. And I don't legitimately know where the screws are, so it gets you that far. Hip is super tight, so be aware of that. These don't move, that's one piece. Legs can go forward that far. Go back even further. Knees have a single bend, which moves this. If this is all floppy, it's because the actual knee isn't situated properly on the joint. There is a little bit inside, but that should be flat. I think I've just actually moved it the wrong way. Yeah, yep. Now I've got it in the right spot. So if that moves on its own, then it's because the knee hasn't been pushed across and it's not locked into place. All right. Toe doesn't really go down because it's all basically solid here. It does have a little bit of ankle tilt, but not much. And if you're wondering why his foot is a little bit messy, I will show you, but trust me, you're better off just a little bit of mess there. And of course, counter punches a little bit more neater. So there we go. Of course, from what I've seen of the renders and stuff for the Japanese version, you have things in here, and I've just literally shifted his knee the wrong way. You have extra things in here. You don't have any, speed, strength, and all that on this. There's nothing hidden there, so there we go. All right, let's get down to transformation. Now, it's not that difficult. There's just a few steps that are a bit... All right, so first things first, we're going to do the hands. Now, if you want to know which way this is going to sit, just fold the hands back and back. You'll literally, there's your seats. So fold up, and down. So this is the top of your car. All right, next we're going to get this out from under here. You want to flip this up a little bit. Mine's probably tapped in really well. There is a flip hinge sort of there, so you can actually get it out. It's just a matter of just awkward getting in there. So it's just a matter of flipping that up. Trying to get that flipped up. There we go. One. And I think have I got the other side? There we go. This comes out. Come on, come out. Like so. And you have all this, which is your roof rack. So this is going to flip up and out. I can keep that all closed. Flip this up. We're going to flip out as far as it'll go. And then you have another piece that flips out all the way. And then we sort of want to angle this because these tabs are going to sort of go into here. So we want to rotate while sort of keeping it at an angle. So that way they will hopefully go into the little holes inside here. And then we can flip this up. And what we're going to do is we're going to rotate this all the way around. And as you can see, I have an Autobot insignia. Now this does flip, so you can have Autobot Decepticon, but I decided not to do that, and you will know why soon enough. All right, so we're going to get back to this side. So you're going to flip these blue pieces in all the way. And now we have one of the tricky parts is the sides here. Now I'm tempted in some place to get either a bit of lube or whatever and put it on those pins, because these are stupid tight, both transformed forward and back. So slide down, keep the arm up, and if it's down far enough, you should be able to flip it around. Actually, I need to sort of lift up his chest. So that way it gets the tab that's here out of the way. All right, so get that back there. Give it a press down. There's another tab that's just gone behind that. There we go. And flip that down and slide that in. Now, I don't know if you broke these, if you'd still be able to do this, but I would assume that because of the way that Counterpunch's chest works, it would probably hold that in place. All right, so now this is one of my scares. Now, I admit, this is why I didn't get the X-Transbots defense orb, because I saw these sort of joints and stuff in, was it Fuzz? I'm going to say Hot Fuzz, but I'm pretty sure that's the wrong name. I'll correct it in when I have a look at it after, but you know, the Protectobot Copper had very weak looking arms, and I was completely out of that. So what we're going to do is we want to flip up, and you have these pieces here, and it's just the front little bit you want to pull forward. Not the whole thing, just the front. And then what you want to do is you want to flip the arm down. It's a little iffy. And then you want to rotate this. Which way is it? No, not that way. Actually, it might be just that way. It just sort of sits over here, like so. All right, then what we can do, and we'll do it the other side first. So we're just going to pull that forward a little bit. And I honestly don't even know if that makes much of a difference, but still, flip that down. And then what we want to do is we're going to rotate the biceps, because we need these going that way. And we're going to rotate this in like so. So the shoulders have gone in, and providing nothing's in the way, we're going to sort of sit flat. Then what we're going to do is go bring this up, and then you have these tabs here, which were on the opposite side, and they're going to go under, sort of under here. So just sort of do your best to get them lined up and in place, and then we can bring the front of the car down, which is just going to go onto these tabs here. And then we can fiddle with that roof so that the seam sort of lines up. All right, so for the most part, the upper body's done. Now, the lower body is very, how do you put it, part-centric. We'll call it part-centric. It seems difficult, but trust me, it's easier than it is. There's also a step in here that I will show you that I do slightly differently than what MGO did, but I'll get to that when I get to it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move one leg out of the way for the moment. So we have here, this sort of tabs into here. If I keep it clear. That's going to untab really easily, and then this is going to fold out. We're going to bring all this up, and then we're just going to bring it over for the time being. All right, so what we want to do is we're going to shift the whole foot up, because we don't need that foot anymore. Then I have to move the camera a little. We're going to work on this piece here. So this is your toes. This is the top of the foot. Now, there is a piece that's gone into here. So when we pull this out, you're going to sort of try to flip it back. It doesn't feel good, but it does need to be done. This will flip all the way back, and you straighten this out. This piece is going to go in. This is how it sits. It sits in this little groove. And I'm also going to flick out this little tab, which is what's going to connect the two halves later. So then what we're going to do is look at it for a second. We're going to come into here, and you have tabs holding this inside. So we want to get that out, and it's going to fold out like this. We then want to open the door. We're going to need to, oh, there we go. So this sort of just tabs over here. We want to flip the window around, and we want to flip the window up. And then what we want to do is just sort of leave that like that, because we're going to need, oh, for a minute there I thought I had a huge chip, but it's just the way the window is. That was a bit concerning. All right, I'm just looking at where my hip is. All right, we're going to flip this piece up, and that doesn't move anywhere further than that. You're going to have to flex a little bit, but we should be right for the most part. All right, so I'm just looking at this. So what we need to do is, I'm just trying to find, actually it might be this piece I'm looking at. Yeah, it's that piece. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to open the door. You have all this, and this is really not comfortable. You're going to tab this in. Tabbing it in is fine. Getting it untabbed is a different story. So that's going to lock all this into place. Then what you're going to do is, just looking at it, this is going to come round. Right, so, and we just want to sort of sit it there. It's not going to lock it anywhere yet. This is going to come, you're going to bend, try to get the knee untabbed. So there's little tabs here that locks into the knee. So push it out a bit. And as it rotates, you're going to try to get this past here. And you want to do it so that the whole leg ends up pushing out. And then this comes down here. Oh, I forgot a step. All right, so we're going to need to get these out because I forgot all about them. Actually, it's probably easier getting it to here now. You're going to flip this piece out. You're going to flip this piece around. And you're going to flip this piece around. And that fills in the top of the roof. All right, back to it. So this comes around here. Just get it past the arm. And we're just going to tab. This is a tab here, and just sort of line them up. And just tab them sort of into the roof there. If you can line it up. It's a little bit awkward for now, but what you're going to do is you're going to keep this out, and this is going to all rotate. And then this piece is going to go into this little hole here. This is why you need to get the leg all the way across. So rotate that. I'm sort of scraping across my hip. But you basically need to get that past the knee, and then you can plug it in. If you pull that down too far, you're going to snap it. All right, so right now, we've got one leg we want it. I'm not going to plug the arms and stuff in. Oh, I might as well do that. All right, I'll show this, and then we'll get to the other leg. So you have a peg up here that goes into this little groove, if you can see it. So just up here. But then, pardon me, you got this hole here, which is this tab right here. MGO said shave it. I did a little bit. It does fix it a little bit, but not by much. I'm actually tempted to just cut that off altogether. So you're just going to get that into there, just line it up. The arm might be a little hindrance, but there's a little gap here, like here. I don't know if you saw that, like here on that side. As long as that's lined up, your arm is in the right spot, and you have one done. Just push that in, and you have one side of the car finished. So we're going to do the other one. All right, now that we don't have the other leg in the way, we can just straighten that out again. We're going to fold this out, fold all this out, and this time we have this peg that's going to go out. So that was the little piece like in here. This one doesn't have it. All right, same as the other one, although not very well seeing from this one. So we're going to flip this out. So a little bit in there, just flip all that out and just straighten that up. And then we're going to take this piece, and I just realized I kind of screwed it up on that one. It sort of folds in and then on it. So it should be flat. I didn't make it very flat. So I'll show it better on this one, if you can see it. Keep focused. So bring it in. It's a double hinge, then fold that down, and that'll give you where it's supposed to sit properly. All right, so we're going to do the lower leg. So once again, just get this out of the way, unplug that, bring that out, bring that out. We're going to flip the mirror, flip the window, and we're going to open the door for the moment. And then we can bring that back, and that'll tab into here again. Oh, I'll push the foot up first. That'll probably help a little bit. And then flip that up and plug it into place. And then we'll leave the door open for the time being. I'm just going to bring this. Which way am I going? I'm going the wrong way. No, I'm going the right way. There we go. All right, so I'm going to unpeg that a little bit, get this back up, and we're going to rotate, slide, rotate and try to slide. I'm going to put this all the way out of the way for the most part, and just get that past the knee. Just sort of give it a little push. Get past that door, and if you've pushed as far as it needs to go, we should straighten up a little bit. Then we can bring this up, and once again we have that little hole there, so we might have to get past the hip a little bit and just sort of very gently sort of get that past, and then get it lined up and pushed in, and then we can finish up this piece here, and then we can do the side. So what we want to do is we can peg these together, and we're going to bring it all down, and this has got to fit in here. Now you're going to need to push these two pieces down so that they flatten. As long as they're flattened right, you're usually pretty right. And then you got this, which needs to tab into here. Now you can do it separately. I'm trying to do this together to see if I can actually get to work, but I think I might have to do it separately anyway. So it's probably better just doing it separately, because that way you're only working on one half. So I might do that. I'm just going to lift that up out of the way and just get one in the right place first. There we go. So just get that over there. Get that all lined up. Make sure that pegs in, which I think I've got. Oh, no, most of it's in the right spot. There we go. Oh, almost. There we go. Itchy nose. Oh. So that's all lined up where we want it. So then we can do the same thing here. We can line up the roof together so it's plugged in properly, and bring this down. Make sure that folds best of ease, and just line things up. Get that over there, because I think I've got the rear end. I just need the spoiler to go in place. There we go. And give it a push a little bit and just straighten things up. And then we're going to plug this into place very reluctantly. That goes click, and everything's almost done. We close the doors. Like I said, I've got one of my fingers in the wrong spot. I haven't actually plugged this one in either. So I'll plug that arm in, try to get it lined up, push it inside like so. And then we can close the doors, which are an issue on their own when you try to get them back open again. But there we go. There is punch, counter punch in his vehicle mode. Now, I know I ranted a little, well, I wouldn't call it a rant, but I mentioned last time about side mirrors. These are solid, right? I'm not worried too much that they're going to break off, because it's got a pin in here that's going to keep that, helps it flip. Whereas with wheel jacks and who was the other one I looked at? I'm trying to remember now. Who did I mention? Oh, overdrive. those windows, there's nothing holding them in place. It's just glue and friction. So, they can bugger off. Now, he does have lights, but I'm not popping them up. Let's see if I've got the box here, and I don't know if it actually shows it. Nope. All right, let's go with the instruction manual instead, which I have an accessory that I didn't show anyway. We have his card with a nice picture of Bond and James there with information that's completely out of focus. There you go. If you want to read it, please pause and have a read. But the instructions, like I said, I'll see if I can find it. Here we go. So there's the vehicle mode. Now with overdrive, I couldn't get both the lights back in. This is why I'm not putting it in. As for those weapon storage, where are we? This is the first time I'm looking at these instructions, I won't lie. So the machine gun goes here, and the yellow gun goes here. Now this, I think, is why it has to rotate, because of the way it pegged in. I wish they'd done that differently. Of course, you can display your punch, counter punch, with the door open if you want. Preferably focused. If you want, but I don't know, it seems silly to me. But it's something you can do. Look, it's nice that you can do that sort of thing. I just feel it's unnecessary. I think it's a feature that we're currently still not quite up to scratch for. So I think it's just a waste of technology that we're not ready for yet. I know MP44 did it and all that. But honestly, I think it's a stupid gimmick at the moment that all it's doing is hindering the transformation. So take that for what it's worth. All right, size comparison. Here we go with Windblade. So we do a decent sized car. So here we go. All right. Now, to get this guy transformed, which is, of course, he comes in vehicle mode. So this will help for those of you who watched it in the other way around. So what we're going to do is pop these doors open. Now, if you're having trouble getting to the doors and you have a tool, like mine, which is my DX9 one, you can get past the arms, or the elbows, to push it from the other side. That gives you access to there. All right. So I'm going to show you a step that I completely agree with MGO, and that's for this piece, pop out the arm. So you're going to untab there, and you're going to, preferably without untabbing the hand, you want to try and get the forearm out of the way. Just rotate it up as far as it'll go and do it on both sides. So, because this next step, yeah, it is iffy. So, when you first buy this is going to be stupid tight. I highly suggest doing this before you do it. But the thing is trying to get that tab back out again. So I have shaved a little bit off, and it's after this guy is probably never getting transformed again. The fear is this breaking. There's not enough. If this was just one piece, actually, you know what? Let's try something out of curiosity. I'm going to take it with the whole all right. It's still scary because you're pulling against this piece here, but having the whole window, the whole door to actually grip onto is a little bit more comforting. So you're better off getting those arms out first. So that way you got a little bit more and just sort of push against it, preferably with your finger not in the wrong spot, and then open those doors up. So it gives you actually this, because this is flimsy. I'm sure someone will have transformed this and have busted that. All right, so then we have the next scary step. So we're going to split this guy in half. So just grab the front window and that, and just pop. So that gives us all these tabs that we plugged in before unplugged. Now, MGO said, sorry, MGO, just saying, to pop these two first. Don't pop these two first, because if you can't get your finger in, like this one I'll probably be able to, this one I won't. So I suggest you split the legs in half. That should give you just enough clearance to get the side skirts out of the way. So flip this up a little bit, and hopefully you'll have enough room. I'll do it on both sides just in case to give it a bit more clearance. And then flip all this up as far as I go because these front pieces will still be tabbed in. Now you have access to these. So if you can't get your finger in there and you're worried of scratching, now you can sort of get in here with a tool. And you're not going to want to do it too far, just a little bit. Just get that unplugged so you know it's unplugged. And then we're going to do the opposite of what we did. So we're going to flip this around. It'll be rubbing up against that hip a little bit, but just keep that unplugged just a little bit. Just get your nail in there if you can and flip it around. So all you're trying to do is get this piece away from here and this piece away from the knee. And then what you can do is then you can start bringing this down. So bring it about quarter way down and give it a bit of a push. Then all you got to do is get this past the thigh. So just a little back, bring it down all the way. And then you want to get this into here. So that's your knee in place. You can bring this down and we're done with it. Now, this piece. Now, I'm going to try this again by closing the door. Because what you've got to do, you've got to get all this over this way. So I'm just going to plug that back in to see if it gives me a bit more clearance because here's the piece right here. This is the joint, if you want to call that. So I'm just going to use the whole door and pull on it. And that feels 100% better. Imagine trying to do that with just this. Now it's not because of how tight this is, it's because of the tabs. Now imagine I'm gonna do this partly, but now imagine trying to do this without snapping here. So just put that door back in place and use the whole door, including the tab that's holding into here, to get that open. And then what you can do is you can keep that door shut, get the window over. So that's now locking that all into place. And if it hasn't already, bring the mirror with it. Then what we can do is we can flip this in. And then we can bring this up. And I can still not quite tell where this tab's in. I'm assuming this little piece here is going to tab in to there. And there's a little piece here too. It doesn't have that on the other side, but I'll point that out when we get to it. So I'm just trying to keep that knee in place. And now we can do the foot. All right, we're going to bring all this down. So that way we got the clearance. We're going to fold this out because all this now has to rotate underneath. So there's a little tab that's going to go into here. All right, so first things first, we're going to flip in this tab, which is what held it together. We're going to be really awkward about it, but we're going to flip this piece out, if you can see it, this piece out, and that's going to go in the groove, and we want to sort of fold it up. It doesn't have to sit too snug, and honestly, this is going to be a little bit more angled. So flip this in, and then you need to flip this under. Now it's going to move this piece. This is why it's a little bit iffy. You got to keep feeling with it, and you just sort of need to get it under there. Doesn't have to be perfect. I think this is supposed to be flat. Actually, I'll tell you what, maybe not, because I'm just looking at instructions, and I just noticed it. I'm just having a quick look on the actual instructions themselves. Yeah, even if you look at the art deco, his toes don't fully line up. Also, if they do line up, you tend to hinder the ankle tilt. So we're going to rotate that, and we're going to fold this here. See, now I'm sort of pressing against things, especially here. But you're going to put this big old piece into here. It won't go all the way in, just enough. Just give it a push. And like I said, it just needs to clear, and my knee has shifted again. It just needs to clear the shin, because it'll give you a little bit of ankle tilt now. It will be helpful if it was focused. A little bit of ankle tilt, but not much, and it's rubbing against here, so just be aware of that. I don't think it'll chip paint or anything, and this is actually the piece I was looking for. It won't chip paint at all, but just be aware of that. It does rub. All right, other side. So we've already got this out of the way, and the beauty is now we can actually bend that knee. Either way, it doesn't matter. Probably that way better. And we're going to get in here and try to get that out. And we don't want to pull on it too hard. Just need to make sure it clears. That way when we... Yep, that's right. I was going to say, I hope I unplugged that first. So we're going to flip this out. Like I said, it's going to probably rub against the hip, but you at least want to try and clear there. Then we can rotate this down, and we're going to push it in a little bit. And then we're going to make sure this all clears. It does get a bit wider, so just be aware. And then we want to push that across, flip this down, and then that can... Oh, we almost skipped a step. Now, we're putting that door back on. Tabbing that door back in. So we can get that whole thing out, and I don't know why. It's partly actually started tabbing, I think. So there we go. Got it. That is 100% more comfortable than... I don't even... Actually, I'll tell you what. Let's have a look at the instructions again. I know this video is getting really long, but I'm just curious how they explain the leg. Now, I admit, like I said, I tend to... It even says here to lift up the spoiler before you touch these. Where are we? Take open the doors, flip them up. Beg my pardon. We'll lift those out. So it's actually telling you to pull it out in one piece. Do that. Flip those around. I don't think it's actually... Yeah, it's basically telling you here to... Yeah, pull them out like that. But like I said, do use the doors. The doors will give you a lot more comfort than doing it that way. So then we can rotate that in. We can rotate this up and find wherever those tabbing points are that I can never quite figure out where they are, but they're there somewhere. That's all I know. They're there somewhere. All right, then we can pull, I should say, not flip. Foot down as far as it'll go. And we can bring this around. And we have this tab here, which is just going to sort of, you can flip it up further. I'd just keep it half mask. I don't think it's going to make much difference. It's just going to, if anything, it's just going to add some stability. Actually, while I'm thinking of it, I didn't push that on. There it is there. I'll just push that up. All right, so we have the spoiler again. Once again, this is awkward. So, sorry. So we're going to flip this out, and we're going to angle it up a bit. This is going to come round, and we sort of want to get it the same way. That one's, for some reason, a little bit easier. Don't know why, to get under. Now, we don't want to go too far because otherwise it's going to start rubbing against the shin, and we're not going to be able to keep it tabbed in. So around and around. Find that tabbing point, which is, you can't see because the camera's too low. Tabbing point, which is here. And stick that in. And as long as it's only sitting against, you're pretty fine. And my knees moved again. So then we can drop the knee back down again. And as long as everything's in place, we have the legs all done. All right, now we can do the relatively easy part, which is the upper body. So we're going to flip this down, and we're going to flip this up. So we have these two tabs in here, remember? Actually, you can sort of wiggle the backpack down. There we go. So sort of just use that elevation to sort of get it both off, and that way it just sort of clears it for both. Then what we can do is we can rotate the arms, shoulders out, I should say. And we'll do it one for the other. We're going to flip up the bicep. We're going to push this little yellow piece, this little blue piece in, and we can bring that down, and we have one arm for the most part done. We're going to flip that out, push that in, that fills up around that one, and bring that one down. And then we can do the forearms. Now we're going to go into counter punch first. So we're going to flip the arm up, and we want the yellow bicep. No, that is not paint chipping. As far as I know, that's just part of the hinge. We're going to rotate it so we have the yellow to the back, and then we can articulate the hands accordingly. So flip up the hand, turn the elbow, turn that around, and we have the arms pretty much done. All right, we're going back to punch for a little bit. We're going to flip this up as best you can. You might have to flip his head back a little bit, not by much. And just going to lift his arms up. And you're going to pull these pieces out. And then, once again, like I said, I'm tempted to get some lube, but at the moment, honestly, I'm not planning on transforming this guy much, but you're going to need to put as much effort as you can. And there is a little tab on here. And just sort of push up as far as you can and hope that that tab isn't too in the way. Same on the other side. And it's a little bit harder because now I'm using my left hand, which is not my dominant hand. And I could probably sort of angle him a little bit. Just sort of get him up as far as I can. I think I've got it lined up. And then we want to get in here and we want to flip these blue pieces out as far as they'll go. Do on both sides. Just keep that backpack out. Like so. And then, everything's itchy. You have, I don't know how I'm going to show it, there's sort of two tabs in here, which are going to go behind the chest. So, you probably see it just there. So these are the two tabs, if I can focus. Two tabs that I'm worried one day is going to break. But just get it to sort of go behind. Just don't be too stupid with it. Just comfortable. And that sort of locks that in place. You can try fiddling with the chest if you want. All right, now, home stretch. We got these pieces. We're going to flip this sort of up. Oh, it would be helpful to rotate it first. Duh. Right, rotate it so you have the chest piece preferably focused. This will untab, so if I lift these up, they basically went into here. You could, actually, you know what? You could probably do that. That's probably a little bit easier to get them in place, is actually get the chest untabbed first. So, yeah, food for thought. Flip that up. You're going to flip the outside in first, and then you're going to flip the outside in. You're going to flip this down, and you're going to try being the operative word, to get this piece into this gap here, which can be very sort of awkwardy because it doesn't feel very... Once you've got it in the right place, you know what's in the right place, but you'll feel like you're forcing against things. So there we go. I had to force a little bit, and then you have these tabs here, which will go, these tabs here, which will go onto these ports. Now, this is what I mean. If these broke, I would say that these tabs would still be able to hold it. And this is partly why the upper body, this piece here, has that lift part. So that way you can actually get all this under there. And once you've got it in place, you just bring it down. Now, I think that's the closest I've got them to tab all the way in. Now, we'll do the step that I forgot to do, but we're just going to get these arms out of the way. You're going to rotate this back, and rotate this back, and then you're going to flip this panel up. Now, I've probably flipped that up further than it was before, and that can be a pain getting out, so you might have to get a tool to get it out. But we're pretty much done. So there is Counterpunch back in his robot mode. Now, like I said, you do have these pieces, so if you want, you can pull these in, but mine are stupid tight, and I'm not taking the chance. So yeah, I'm just going to leave mine like that. I'm not using that shoulder articulation for punch anytime soon, so I'm not too worried. Of course, articulation we've already spoken about, but let's get this guy transformed into into punch, which is easy. You fold the shoulders back, which has its articulation issues. You fold the hand down. You flip this one up, and this is why this one's easier, because you've got all that, like I said. Close the fist up, and you want to put it so this is pointing backwards. So at least you can hopefully use the fingers to get it back out again. Bring that down, rotate the fist around, like so. Same on the other side. Untab that. Well, not that's really tabbed in, but fold that out. Fold that out. Close your hand up, and I'm about to go the wrong way around. Fold that around. Put that in, and fold that in. Turn the wrist around, and we have Punch back in his robot mode. Now, like I said, I've been doing this. I'm actually looking at it, trying to think of, like I said, I'm tempted to shave one of these off. Because the problem is, if you do it like I do it, then it's going to either force the plastic. Actually, I might try doing it this way, because I don't trust putting these in. I've put it in once and I couldn't get the bugger back out again without some serious trouble. So I'm literally just making crap up and hoping that the fingers and the thumb have enough friction to keep it in place as long as no one bumps it. It does mean I get this big old piece here. But yeah, so that's why I'm thinking, like, admittedly, I'm not pulling this guy off, but I really don't want to get those joints sort of stuck. You can, I suppose, put it in there, but you're going to probably eventually just sort of fiddle with it. I know I'm probably just going into areas I don't need to now, but yeah, I'll just leave it like that. As for the machine gun, oopsie, I forgot a step. Well, thankfully, that's pretty easy to fix. I thought I folded that in. Apparently I didn't. Try it again. Da-da-da. I wonder how many of you caught that before I caught it. All right, let's try this again. So, now my foot's untabbing. It's dead tabbed in. Also, I think I'm popping my shins out. Now, not that it's part of the steps, but I suggest doing it anyway. Just come in here and lift the side skirts out just a little bit. It does somehow sort of help with that really stupid tight. I don't think I'll be using those joints anytime soon. So there we go. We can do one more stupid size comparison. Here he is with Counterpunch. Now, I'm sure a lot of you obviously saw the title card and was like, oh, cool, he's got two. Or some of you saw it and going, oh, that's awesome, he photoshopped it. I couldn't Photoshop to save my life. But yes, the story is, initially I was going to only get one punch. I was only going to get one Bond, James, whatever. And I hummed and hawed about it. And I'm like, you know what? It's going to look really stupid on my shelf to have one version of Counterpunch, which is bad because I think in hindsight, I'd probably be doing the same thing when it comes to Double Dealer if I got a Masterpiece Double Dealer. Right now, I just have I think it's Titan's Return, which has both Autobot and Decepticon insignia. But that's neither here nor there. At least with, so I was going to get Punch, and I thought, you know what? He's going to look really stupid on my Decepticon shelf if I have Punch for the Autobots, but I don't have Counterpunch for my Decepticons. So I was like, you know what? Screw it. Pre-order a second one. I didn't think I was going to be able to, but thankfully I was able to. And about probably 2-3 months later, they released. So I was pretty happy with that. Although I will admit, it's taken me 2 months to finally get these guys because bills be damned, and screw making people pay me and all the rest of that. So yeah, have to wait a little bit. But there we go. So if you liked this video and these figures, now I'm screwing up my outro because I'm just completely throwing myself up. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you didn't like this video, give me a thumbs down. I promise you it will not hurt my feelings. Subscribe, ring that bell, leave me a comment. Which character do you prefer? Do you prefer Punch or do you prefer Counterpunch? Let me know, especially if you prefer the old comic version, if you like the Japanese version, if you like the American version. You let me know. But thanks for watching, and I'll catch you later.